Hey, it's your boy, Sergeant Hooked on Heroes, recording inside my house because I'm just about to leave for work, but I had a few extra minutes, so I thought I would record my review for Avataro Sentai, Donbrothers, episode 45. It feels absolutely insane, ridiculous, and completely false that we are already 45 episodes into this beautiful peak Sentai. But, yeah, here we are. So, coming off of last episode, we had the little, last little plot details, little strands, that Jiro wanted Taro to come with him to his village where he grew up, to meet Terasaki-san, who raised him, and also to meet Rumi and his friends. And we'll get to that. Rumi, we know from the picture, somehow isn't real. I'm thinking nobody is. But anyway, so we start off the episode with everybody kind of like getting over the fact that they know each other's identities now. It's very quick. I love that, like, we were all waiting for them to finally, like, transform together, and, like, they haven't roll called together, but to transform together and to know each other's identities. Now it's just not a big deal. They just go on with their day. Like, they've been through so much ridiculous bullshit. They're just like, yeah, whatever. The dog is Inuzuka. Okay. So most of the team is there, minus Tsuyoshi. And Jiro mentions about going to his village. And he's like, oh, yeah, sure, blah, blah, blah. That it's called Kaka Village. And they see that Inuzuka is looking at the manga that older, like, future Haruka left behind, right? And then she says, it's all in my manga. And he's seeing something in there that's leading him to there, but in the manga, it calls it Gaga Village, not Kaka. So clearly she changed things a little bit, but it's pretty much the same. And that there's somehow an entrance to it in the fridge. We'll get to that too, because that's not true. But anyway, so they're doing their thing, and then all of a sudden, here comes in Tsuyoshi Kichino, and he's still pissed at Inuzuka, and he's like, he's like, where's Natsume? He's like, Miho is gone, blah, 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 blah. And she's gone again, she's disappeared, and he's like, it's your fault, and he tries to fight him, and Inuzuka's like, you need to stop this, she's not real. Miho isn't a real person at all. It's fake, she's a bestial, like she's a Juto, and he doesn't believe him. So Taro gets in the way, and he's like, both of you need to quit. He's like, Inuzuka is right. She is a Juto, and you need to get over it, accept it, and move on. And Kichino doesn't want to. So he runs off like his little, mentally ill self. And Tsubasa decides to go along with Taro to the village where Jiro lives or whatever. There's a possibility of the Juto forest, portal being there. So he wants to go with them. So he goes, and when they get there, they get to the house that Jiro was raised in. And he said, I'll go find Terasaki-san. I'll come back and find you guys, okay? So he leaves, and the two of them go and find the refrigerator. And at first, Inuzuka's looking in there. He's taking stuff out, and he's like, I don't see a gateway in here. He's like, yeah, well, look harder. And he pushes him inside. He's like, stop, I can't breathe. He's like, stop telling me what to do. And there's a few moments in this that I really like, because we've yet to have Taro get to interact with Tsubasa a whole lot throughout the show. Like, here and there, but not now that he knows he's a team member. Like, we haven't had that interaction now that they know, like, him being fully established on the team. And so there's a couple of, like, really funny moments where he, like, tries to order him to do something. He tells him to stop. And Taro instantly and it's just a subtle thing. He goes, well, could you please try to... And he, like, asks nicely and, like, comes at him again with it. And then, Tsubasa wants to help. So I like that, because, like I said, there's been a lot of mention through most of the episodes here, most of the series, that, Taro is still like the Don clan in the way that they don't really understand emotions, that now even the Naoto understand emotions better than Taro does. And that he kind of takes offense to that. So I think he is in some ways trying to be more human and understand emotion and how he can connect with his team. And I really like that. It's a nice little subtle thing that they don't focus on too much, but it's there in the episode, and I really like it. And it makes me sad it's so late in the show to get these interactions, but it still works overall, and I think that it definitely works to not only develop Taro as a character, but Tsubasa, who most of the other team is fine kind of being ordered around, sort of, whereas he's like, nah, don't tell me what to do. So he has him transform, and look in there again, he, like, basically almost stuffs him in the fridge as Inu Brother, and they eventually find, Terasaki-san finds them, and he's like, are you thieves? They're like, no. And so he talks to them, and he's like, yeah, I raised Jiro, and blah, blah, blah. And basically right away, Taro says, because they make some vegetables or whatever, and all of a sudden he's like, are you a bestial? Just straight up says it, and he's like, actually I am. I'm of the Don clan also, just like you. So, I don't know, I'm kind of confused on this. I don't know if he means of the Don clan as in, like, the Dawn Clan created the Juto, and that's what he means. But he mentions that he gives his backstory that there was a policeman literally nearly 100 years ago that is trapped in the Juto forest, nearly dead right now because of how old he is. And that if we make another rule, we have another rule now for how the Juto work. He's the one he made a copy of, and that if the Juto, because they have this whole scene where he has Taro and Tsubasa like give him a back rub and a feet rub, and Tsubasa doesn't want to do it, and of course Taro again tries to order him, doesn't work, and he asks him nicely, and it does work. He does listen to him, and so he puts through this rule, this other part of the rule that if the host, they're talking about more about like if the host dies, then clearly the clone dies, right? And he says that the host is very old, and that he's like, I thought you were immortal. He's like, well, we are, but if the host is dies of old age, we'll die too. Like that's another way it can happen. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if we're going to get anything where there's going to be like some kind of a Totsuki that can age people, and then that's something that'll happen. But so he's doing that, and then they kind of just leave him for a little bit, and they walk away to try and figure things out and discuss things or whatever. And Jiro at this time is eating with Rumi and his friends, right? It's all fine. Rumi is totally real and stuff, right? And they're eating until we see that there's nobody there, and there's a floating penguin Juto little what's it called? Origami coming towards his mouth. And before this, Taro, that's how Taro figured out, I forgot how he figured out Terasaki-san is a Juto, is that he sees a penguin origami in the background, like on like a shelf or something like that. And so it's almost coming near Jiro, and we already know Jiro's like partially controlled here, but we don't know like everything about it, other than that, the real Jiro is feral Jiro, and that the Jiro we're seeing every day is the Juto version of him, technically the Juto personality, if you will. And so, but somehow they're combined into one thing, which is really weird. But anyway, so it's coming at him, and Taro grabs it out of the way. He pushes him back and grabs it out of the way. And Terasaki-san comes in, and he's like, you're ruining my plans, aren't you? He was like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, Jiro's going to replace me. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, Jiro's going to replace me. Once I die, he's going to stay here, and he's going to keep the gate to the, the bestial's, realm closed. And after I'm gone, he's the next guardian, basically. And he's like, well, he doesn't get to choose in that, basically. Like, no, we're not going to do that. And he gets pissed. And, so he gets all mad about it. And he says, no. Because before this, I'm sorry, I missed one little part. Before this, we also see Taro and Inuzuka kind of getting into a little bit of a fight because Tsubasa wants to just destroy all the Juto, while Taro, for some reason, doesn't. I don't think that it's that he doesn't want to destroy them. I think he's understanding that, like, because the Natsume Juto he's met, the Crane Juto, has somewhat learned about humanity, that maybe there's hope for the other Juto or something like that. And it lends more to the theory of him becoming more human and understanding emotions better, right? Like, it makes more sense. So he says that, no, take me instead. That I'll go and instead of him, leave him alone. And he eats the origami, right? So he eats it, walks outside, and he starts almost like heaving, almost throwing up. And this like portal opens up, Juto Forest portal, and he walks into it. Before he walks in, the Dawn Blaster shoots at him and turns him into Dawn Momotaro, and boom, goes in the portal. Inuzuka tries to follow him, doesn't get there in time. While all this is going on, the Naoto during the episode are talking about, reeling about the whole fact that they're feeling human again. They're feeling like humans, that they understand human emotion, and that they don't know how to feel about that. And Sononi says, well, I think we should join the Donbrothers. I mean, I feel like we're pretty well allied with them now, and that we no longer want to, like, end humanity, basically, so why don't we help them out? And she has a fantasy of them, like, roll call posing with the whole team, which is really cool looking, actually. Sononi's like, oh, they would never accept us. And then Sonoza makes mention of, in the Juto Forest, there's something called the Ring of Forgiveness. That's like this Naoto artifact or something like that. So I don't know if that's what's going to need to happen for them to be forgiven fully and then join the team, basically. I always saw this coming, that they would maybe join the team. I'm really hoping they just keep their normal Juto forms and they don't get, Avataro forms. I mean, it'd be fine, I guess. But I think that the Naoto, like, transformed states are really cool. They're doing that. And then Kijino in the episode becomes a Hitotsuoki again. He becomes the Gao Ranger Hitotsuoki because he's so mad about Miho being gone. So this is the third time. He's now neck and neck for total number of times turned into a Hitotsuoki, like being a host, a Hitotsuoki host. And goes around, he's destroying shit, being a dick, whatever. Gets there to where they're at the at Kaka Village. And while they're there, because he's there, it summons in Sour Brother and Oni's sister, and also Inu Brother comes in as well at one point, I think. And Jiro's nowhere to be found. That was really weird. But anyway, so while they're trying to fight the Otsutsuki, Sonoi comes in and he starts slashing at the Donbrothers. He's like, well, we're going to stop you, blah, blah, blah. And just being a dick because he's not like fully sure how he's kind of conflicted on how he feels, right? So while that's happening, though, we saw earlier in the episode, Sonoza encountered another Naoto, Sonoroko, I think. And then there's another male like Naoto. And then when he was like humming the Donbrothers theme song, looking at the manga, it was kind of funny. And then Sononi during the episode was also encountered another female Naoto, I think Sonorogu or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, they show up along with Sonoshi, and they watch they see Kijino turn into the big version, right? He turns into a giant monster, and he's like, "You can't defeat me. You need me to create Dano no Taishin. There's no way you can defeat me now." And all of a sudden, when at this time, when Taro goes into the portal, the Juto portal after he swallowed the origami, and transforms and goes to the portal, that it seems release some kind of energy that just brings out the King Oja mecha gear that just summons their mecha with Dano no Taishin's head for some reason. And even Kijino's like, "What? Dano no Taishin's head? How? What's going on?" And it beats the shit out of him. And then afterwards, the little Kuwagata claw things go. And when it goes the third time, it turns it back into the normal King Oja face. And then the mecha just leaves. So I really like this because, like, in Zenkaiger, when we got the Donbrothers debut in that, like Don Murasame, it made sense because Dad talked about a special gear and, like, it's an experimental gear, blah, 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 whatever, of a world he had just visited and whatever. So it made sense in the story. This just happened. Anyways, like, I guess I have to do the debut of the other team, the, Easter egg, I guess. Yeah, this is how we're doing it. Whatever, who cares? So it defeats Giant Hitotsuki Kijino. He comes down to normal. And then that's when the other new Naoto, like Sonoshi, comes back along with the two new ones, beat the shit out of him and defeat him and turn him into the little red box, and he, teleports away. So Kijino again is trapped in the, dimension where people go when they're defeated by the Naoto, that they're not fully dead. They're just trapped in that otherworldly dimension thing. And so that's how we kind of leave off the episode, is that happening, and then Taro being in the Juto Forest. Now, next week shows him there. We get a helmetless Golden Momotaro scene, which looks pretty cool. It's assumed there'll be a Juto version of him, maybe, but we see more of Crane Juto, Natsume, Mihotsume, whatever I'm calling her, and Tsubasa being involved with it and a bunch of other things. I'm thinking what's going to happen is that Natsume Crane Juto is going to be done finally. I'm thinking that Tsubasa is going to be the one that gets to save Natsume, get her out of there. And then they'll end up clearly defeating Crane Juto, which will, of course, stop Miho from being a thing ever again, but will inevitably, leave Tsubasa fine with Natsume. Or they might pull the rug out in front of us. I don't know. Overall, this episode was absolute insane and crazy, and it had a lot of ground to cover, and it mostly covered that ground and then went off in another direction I didn't expect it to. It's crazy that we are 45 episodes in with, let's see, 46, 47, 48, 49, 5 more episodes left to tie up everything. But it's been a wild ride, and a wild ride that I've been happy to be on, honestly. Overall, a fantastic episode. Probably another straight banger. I'll say another straight banger and give it a straight 9 out of 10. Not a 9.5, just because I wanted a bit more to take place. And some of the things were like a tiny bit rushed and like faster paced than I was hoping for. But overall, it was a really entertaining episode, and I really liked it overall. The character interactions, the fights, all of that. But let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? In the comments below, what do you guys think of this week's episode? Love it, hate it, in the middle. What are your theories going forward? Do you think there's more that's going to happen with Kiji Brother? What's going to happen with the Natsume, Miho, Crane Juto, love triangle, quadrangle with Inu Brother and Kiji Brother? I'm thinking it's possible that I'm right. I don't know that because we don't know how Inu Brother survived defeating his clone when he was made a Juto at that one point. So people are just assuming it's because he's a Don brother, but I wonder if it's because Shinanoki or future Haruka got him out of the forest, And because he wasn't attached to the tree and held up there, he got out. And because he was out of the forest, that breaks the connection a little bit. And then when he defeated his own Juto, that ended up, being the thing that destroyed it and didn't kill him. So I wonder if they're going to do something similar to that, or they might pull the rug under us again, like I said before, might pull the rug from underneath us entirely and find some way to somehow reform Crane Juto to stay as Miho to be with, Kijino, and then have Natsume still be alive and be her normal self. I don't know. It's not real clear where we're going and exactly what's going to happen. But next week does show also the original Naoto, like, Sononi, Sonoza, and Sonoi working with the Donbrothers, doing like a team attack together. So, very exciting stuff, and it looks like Sonoshi will kind of be the final villain, but I kind of like the Donbrothers doesn't really have a final villain, or like a villain general they've been going after the whole time, really. I really like that. It's kind of been refreshing for that to be that way. I don't want them to keep doing that necessarily, but I think that it's really interesting they did it with this season. I think they did it pretty well. But yeah, so overall, like I said, 9 out of 10. As far as content this week, definitely the this review, duh, and then also my Geats episode 18 or 19, wherever we're at, review 19, I think. So that review is up as well. Check that out. On the podcast this week, we're hoping, fingers crossed, to have the wonderful Balin from Balin Plays come on and preach to the unwashed masses the good faith of Kamen Rider Dragon Knight. This is the American adaptation of Ryuki that was actually pretty well received and was actually pretty well put together, but the network it was on didn't give two shits about it, and it literally aired like the last chunk of it, like last 4 or 5 episodes or more, on their website. They never even aired it on TV, and they always put it in that fuck all position where line up in like the TV schedule where it was at like 6 or 7 in the morning when no one's going to be up on like a random day that no one's going to be up to watch it. But it's a really cool adaptation of Ryuki. I really like it. And yeah, so that's what we'll be talking about on the podcast this week, is talking about Dragon Knight. But yeah, so that's going to be it for content this week. I might throw in some more things. I'm thinking about possibly reviewing The Last of Us. The first 2 episodes, just to kind of talk about those a little bit, because one of my favorite games of all time. The show's been pretty amazing so far. But yeah, so thank you so much for the likes, the comments, the subscribing to me and watching my videos. I really, really appreciate it. I know I say this every episode, but I really, truly mean it. I really appreciate it, you guys, so much. Really means a lot to have a nice little platform here. I can come, kind of dump my thoughts about these shows we watch, and if I get a couple laughs out of you, or a smile, or a view even, that's all it's about, is making someone happy and that they want to watch my content. I think that's cool. So anyway, thank you guys so much. Make sure, if you want to see more of my content, my reviews and things like that, my Henshin videos, make sure to subscribe here on YouTube for content here. I'm also on TikTok under basically the same name. You can find me on Twitter, Sergeant Hooked on Heroes there. Also, at RioSoRiderRed. And then clearly follow us on our Twitter for Henshins and Homies, the podcast there. We go live every Friday, about 7:45, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays for the Henshins and Homies podcast. I linked in the description here the YouTube channel. You can click on that. We go live there, and then it's available as a podcast audio-wise after that. But anyway, thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you later. Stay hooked on the heroes, and I'll see you next time. Bye, 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 bye. Donbrothers, where's the show going? I don't want it to end. Bye.